So let me introduce our next speaker, Milad Haydar. Hey,
Hello,
how are you? So let me introduce Milad.
I'm best. How are you? Are you
I'm
excited?
good. Thank you. It seems your
Um,
voice is coming a little late. Uh, okay, let me introduce you in my words.
that's okay.
Yeah, Milad works.
My name is Milad Haidari.
Okay, you can.
Yes, yes,
No, no.
yes.
Okay, I will start.
My
So
name is
Milad,
Milad Haidari. I'm 28 and I'm a software developer. Okay, okay. That's okay.
probably you, yeah.
Okay, let's get started to this talk. Can you
It's
start?
yeah. I will start. It seems there is problem with your connection and your voice coming a little late. So Milad works at CodeFront. We will talk about actually he will talk about simple way to build an awesome product. Please give us a brief introduction about yourself, and then you can start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Milad. I'm a software developer, especially front-end developer. And today I want to talk about knowing the tools that already we have and making awesome product using React. But at first, I should say, today I'm not giving you uh, I'm not going to give teaching you, but I'm going to give some proper about using React and making awesome products. Okay, let's go. In this talk, I will talk about how to get deeper knowledge of JavaScript, how can we increase our knowledge in React, using Webpack, how to measuring performance, how to use reactive tools. Uh, Sorry, I should share my screen and start again. Okay, here we go. In this talk, I'm going to talk about how to get deeper knowledge of JavaScript, how we can increase our knowledge in React, using Webpack, measuring performance, reactive tools, or the best and choose the best between server-side rendering and client-side rendering. Okay, here we go. I think the another name of React is just JavaScript. So if you want to start coding with React, you need to learn JavaScript and increase your knowledge of JavaScript. But I mean, it's not about a basic knowledge, it's about a deep knowledge and how we can increase our knowledge in JavaScript. The first of all, we need to know about the JavaScript concepts. We need to know about the JavaScript engines like V8 Google Chrome browser, SpiderMonkey, the difference between value types or reference type, the type of scope like inner scope, outer scope, or global scope, knowing about the hosting, knowing about the closure. For example, the inner function can access the outer function and restore that. It's called closure. The meaning of message queues, event loops in JavaScript, knowing about the classes, object-oriented, prototypes, this prereserved keyboard using apply or call methods, using by methods, arrow functions, using of arrays like map, filter, radius, for each, and the others. Using pure function, using side effects, using asset mutation, the difference between promises, async await generators, knowing about the function programming, and knowing about how we can import and export a module in JavaScript, knowing about Whisper operator 3 dots. And these are the JavaScript concepts, and we should know about these concepts. But In my mind, there are three best resources to learn JavaScript deeply. The first one is Indian Mozilla documents that based on the last ECMAScript official changes. I think every JavaScript developer should read all page of MDN.js. And after that, I suggest you these two books. The first one is Eloquent JavaScript, written by Marin Heverbeck, which includes beginner to advanced JavaScript topics. And the second one is You Don't Know JS series books, written by Carl Simpson, which includes the main concepts of React. And if you want to encourage your knowledge about JavaScript, I think, in my mind, you should read the MDN website and do these books. So, right now, it's time to learn React. React just a JavaScript, and in my mind, your skills, your JavaScript skills can make you a better React developer. AngularJS or Ember.js are frameworks where some decisions are already made for you, but React is just a library, and you need to make all decisions by yourself. Then you should know about the concepts. As you know, the best resources of learning React is official website documents, but I want to tell you the most important thing that we should know about the React. First of them is virtual DOM. React uses virtual DOM, but what is virtual DOM? Virtual DOM is only virtual representation of the DOM. Every time the state of our application changes, the first one, virtual DOM updated, and after the virtual DOM updated, it sends to the just changes to the browser DOM. But let me show you how virtual DOM works. When our state changes and computing and comparing and defining algorithm React works, React the first updates the virtual DOM and just sends the changes to the browser DOM. And because of this flow, virtual DOM is much faster and efficient than browser DOM. Then we should know about the concept of virtual DOM. The next one is React Lifecycle. The most important concept in learning React is understanding the component lifecycle. So we should know it completely. React is all about components, and every component has a story, and that story includes lifecycle. We define small components and put them together and make a project. So we need to know the life cycles. The life cycles in class components and function components are different. In class components, when our component is mounting, we can use component with mount, and when our component is updated, we can use components with update. But in the past, we had components will receive props method, but right now it's deprecated, and now we can use component with update. And when our components are mounting, we can use component will unmount. But in function components, we can use effect or use layout effect to handling life cycles. So we need to know the both lifecycle methods in class components and function components, because sometimes we need to upgrade our code from old code to new code, or sometimes we need to upgrade class components to function components, and we need to use hooks, and we should upgrade our code. So if you know about life cycles in class components, you will learn function component life cycles method much easier. But globally, we need to understand the main concept in React. Right now, we know about the virtual DOM and lifecycle, but we should know about the JSX template. We should know about the method of handle of states, like states in component, states in Redux, states in Mobix, states in context API. We should knowing about the hooks, knowing about the higher order components, how we can use with the difference between function component and class component, what is a super constructor, and why we can use it, how can we use a strict mode, the difference between shadow DOM or virtual DOM, uh, React Fiber, pure function, how can we use pure function and get more performance for our application, the difference between element and component in React, and the status of async or not in set a state in React, or what is the controlled component or uncontrolled component. Knowing about these things can help us to write in better codes and React and choose best way to build a product. So guess what is next? My next topic is about state management. There are too many tools to handle states in React. For example, we have Redux, we have a context API, Mobix, Flags, and blah, blah, blah. But in this talk, I'm going to show you the differences between Redux and context API. And we should choose the best one between them for our future project. But which to use and why? My quick answer is Context API is more comfortable for a smart application where state changes are minimal. But Redux is more usable where there are complex data structure in our project. But what is the main differences between Context API and Redux? If you use context, you can use data in context just in React components, but if you use Redux, you can use data in Redux in outside of React components. And in context, you have React Dev tools, but there is no history about the changes of values. But in Redux, you can access the history of all dispatched options. For example, you can use Logger middleware and you can view the history of dispatched action where state changes over time. In context, right now, there is no official mechanism for side effect sometimes, but in Redux, you have multiple middleware to handling and trigger side effects like Redux Saga or Thank. So remember, by the way, choosing between Redux and context just base it on your data structure. So uh, please do not prejudice. Let me show you the example of using Redux or context. Just give me a minute. For example, in this project, I'm go to my folder project and go to table. For example, in this project, we have a table and we use Redux and that we created on component with mount and we use Redux Saga to handle filtering, pagination, fetching data, and we have a reducer and we use immutable data.js for muting data. So just I'm going to pages, category, list. So we can use that table easily. Just we create table, call that function with a name and some gets property like URL and that component call the APIs and make for us a table with filtering and pagination. Sometimes use Redux has multiple good points for us. Sometimes, and I can show you the store, just spread table sagas and spread table reducers. And this is one of the good points of the Redux. Let's get back to the slides. The next topic is about Webpack. We should to increase our knowledge about Webpack, but why? Webpack is a static module bundler for JavaScript, for modern JavaScript applications. The goal of Webpack is handled to all about dependencies. It can help us to get more performance, and it have too many modules and plugins we can use for. Sometimes we can use code splitting modules to get more performance. We can measuring our code. We can optimize our JS codes, our CSS codes, or something like that. Then we should know about the Webpack. Let me show about the Webpack config. I'm going to config, and we have a config from development, and we have another config for production. Let's see about production. In this project, I use Webpack 3, its old version, but let's see. For example, I use module resolver for get rid of 3 dots for importing my modules in React. For example, I make alias for folders like config, components, containers, pages, and I'm go to the some file like agent. Then we can use import without any dots to call my folders like this or like this. I call the utils in alias. You can see this, and then resolve it, and we can call it like this or like this. Or sometimes we can using code splitting without Webpack. It's React feature like this. I'm going to utils and async component. We can using async component mount to import our components with async like this. But there is a lot of things you can work with Webpack. In my mind, you should learn Webpack because you can get better performance if you use very well with Webpack. Let's get back to our slide. The next topic is React Dev Tools, a great tool to measuring our applications, debugging unexpected prop, finding bottlenecks, and I think we should use it. For example, React DevTools has many tools we have used it. For example, React Profiler. With React Profiler, you can find the bottlenecks in your applications, measure renders, and cost of rendering. Or in other tools in React DevTools, you can debugging on unexpected prop values or component elements. Then, if you want measure your code, if you want tracing your code in production, in development, you can use React DevTools. With React DevTools, you can tracing all code, and I think it's help you to get more performance in your project. And the last thing in my talk, I want to talk about server-side rendering and client-side rendering. But how we can choose the best between server-side rendering and client-side rendering about our future project. Client-side rendering. In client-side rendering, our application generated fully by JavaScript in the browser. And after the page got loaded, the virtual DOM moves to real DOM, and our page is completely loaded. But in server-side rendering, rendering our single-page application on the server and then fully send it to the browser. But choosing between server-side rendering and client-side rendering depends on the multiple subjects. For example, search engine optimization on your UX scenario, it's based on the multiple subject. In my opinion, if search engine optimization is important to you, we should use server-side rendering. But the otherwise, I suggest you. I think I'm wrong. I say it again. When search engine optimization is important to you, I suggest you to use server-side rendering. But otherwise, I suggest you use client-side rendering. For example, if you have a back office panel, if you have a human resource management, if you have a CRM or something like that, I suggest you to use client-side rendering. But if your website based on the content or a blog, I suggest you to use server-side rendering. To make a server-side rendering in React, there are many tools to making this. For example, you can use Next.js, After.js, Hugo.js, or Gatsby.js. And that's all. If you increase your knowledge about the tools that you have, you can definitely produce a lot of awesome product in React. And that's all. Thanks for your attention. I hope it was help. And you can reach me anytime on miladheydari@gmail.com, and sure about follow us on Instagram. Thank you all. I'm done.
Thank you so much. Thanks. How was the impression you're feeling after the?
I think my talk is ending too soon.
Okay, I guess there is again a little problem with the connection. So our next talk will be at 35. Probably we will have a short break. Thanks, Milad. Probably we will have some questions. Please leave us a comment.
Anytime.
Yeah. And see you soon in Q&A session.